and welcome. In this session, we will explore how students manage and organize information through the information processing model, metacognition and Bandura's social learning theory. In our previous session, we looked at cognitive learning theory, how the mind actively processes information during learning. We explored how students build understanding through attention, memory, experience, and reflection. We also considered how emotions, motivations, and learning environments interact to shape outcomes, influencing not only academic performance but also long-term skills for problem solving and personal development in various life situations. Now we will go a step further by unpacking how information flows through the brain, how it's received, stored, and retrieved. So let's begin by understanding information processing approach to learning. Let's get started. The information processing approach compares the human brain to a computer, taking information, processing it, and storing it for later use. It helps us understand how students learn, remember, and apply knowledge in real time. This model includes three main stages of memory. Sensory memory. This is where information enters first. It includes everything we see, hear, touch, but it only lasts for a few seconds. Unless we pay attention, working memory. This is the brain's mental workplace. It holds and actively processes information we are currently using. However, it's limited. We can usually hold 5 to 9 items at once. Long-term memory. This is where information is stored more permanently. When learning is meaningful and well organized, it's easier to move content from working memory to long-term memory. Since working memory is limited, strategies like chunking, repetition, and visual aids helps learner retain more information. Teachers also need to manage cognitive load, avoiding distressing students with too much information at once. The goal is to help students focus their mental energy on the most important learning tasks. Have you ever wondered why some lessons stick in your memory and others just disappear after the class? Let me share an example from a psychology class. In our psychology class, the teacher introduced the concept of operant conditioning. At first, she gave us a real life scenario of a student being rewarded for good behavior. This caught our attention and triggered our sensory memory. Then she broke the concept into small parts: reinforcement, punishment, positive versus negative. This chunking made it easier to hold the terms in our working memory without feeling distressed. We were asked to create our own classroom example using each concept. This active processing helped the ideas stick. By connecting the theory to real classroom situations, the information transferred to long-term memory. Later, during the test, I could recall my own examples easily. That's when I realized the power of well-managed cognitive load and meaningful learning, exactly what the information processing model is all about. But even with a strong memory system, students need to monitor and manage their own thinking to become truly effective learners. That brings us to our next topic, metacognition, thinking about thinking. Metacognition means thinking about thinking. It's the ability to plan, monitor, and evaluate our own learning, helping students become self directed and intentional learners. Students with strong metacognitive skills are able to set learning goals, check their understanding during study or task, adjust their strategies when something is not working. These learners are more independent, confident, and resilient skills that are vital for success at the university level and beyond. Teachers can develop metacognitive habits in students by modeling reflective thinking. What do I already know? What's confusing me? Encouraging students to ask themselves questions about how they learn, not just when they learn. Using tools like learning journals, self checklist, or think aloud during problem solving. Metacognition turns passive learners into active problem solvers who are aware of their own progress and able to manage it. Have you ever studied for hours only to blank out during the exam? That happened to a student in our psychology class. She kept reading her notes but could not recall key terms when quizzed. So, she stopped and asked herself, why is not this working? That moment of reflection is cognitive thinking, about your own thinking. She realized she was studying passively. Instead, she switched the active methods, flashcards, self-quizzing, and teaching the material aloud. She also spaced her study session. Instead of cramming, by exam day, she felt confident, not just because she studied more, but because she studied smarter. Metacognition helps students plan, monitor, adjust how they learn. It turns confusion into clarity and frustration into progress. Being aware of how you study can be the key to real academic success. Of course, learning does not happen in isolation. Students constantly observe, imitate, and interact with others. That leads us to our final key theory for today, learning theory, Bandura's social cognitive theory. Albert Bandura introduced the social cognitive theory, emphasizing that people learn not just through personal experience but by also observing others. A process called vicarious learning. This means we can watch someone else succeed or fail and learn from it without having to go through it ourselves. For example, a student may see a peer being praised, completing homework on time, and feel motivated to do the same. Bandura also highlighted the concept of self-efficacy, the belief in one's own ability to succeed in specific situation. This belief strongly influences how we approach goals, challenges, and tasks. A student with high self-efficacy, for instance, is more likely to persist when problems get difficult, while one with low self-efficacy might give up quickly. Another important part of Bandura's theory is the idea of reciprocal determinism. This means our behavior, personal factors like thoughts and feelings, and environment all influence each other. For example, if a student believes they are bad at group work, they might avoid it, which lead to fewer opportunities to practice those skills, confirm their belief. In classrooms, Bandura's theory reminds us how powerful modeling, encouragement, and feedback can be. Teachers, peers, and even media play a major role in shaping students' behavior and confidence. By creating positive environments, promoting belief in students' abilities, and offering role models, educators can help students grow not only academically but also socially and emotionally. For example, have you ever suddenly felt motivated to do something not because someone told you, but because you saw someone else getting praised for it? Let me give you a real reflection example. In one of our classes, a student who normally stayed quiet handed in her homework early. The teacher smiled and said, "Great job. I really appreciate your effort." Nothing big, just a quick movement of positive feedback. But here's what happened next. A few more students started turning in their work on time. The following week, even students who usually procrastinated, no rewards were promised, no punishment was given. So why they change? This is observational learning, a core part of Bandura's social learning theory. We often learn by watching others, not just what they do, but what happens to them. That students saw praise led to positive attention, and others picked up on that pattern. Social learning occurs constantly, especially in classrooms. Observing reinforced behaviors and understanding reciprocal determinism reveals how beliefs, actions, and environment continually influence and shape each other's outcomes. So, how can teachers apply this? Model positive behavior such as problem solving or respectful communication, encourage peer learning and group work, create a safe and supportive classroom environment where students can observe, try, and grow. To wrap up, we explored how students process information, construct knowledge, and grow through mental and social interaction. Furthermore, we saw motivation, feedback, real world applications, and active participation boost understanding, retention, skill transfer, engagement, and lasting academic and personal success. Thank you for joining me in this session. I hope it helped clarify the core concept of constructivism in educational psychology. Assalamu alaikum and goodbye for now.